Just a quick heads up, Marijuana Nation, we're taking Monday off from both our daily podcast as well as our daily email newsletters, but we'll be back with a full set of shows and newsletters on Tuesday. Along those lines, we're also going to be shutting down entirely as a company for the week of July 4th for vacation. That's our new vacation policy. We're going to close down for a week in July and a week in December, but that's still a ways off. This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Getting legal marijuana products in the Golden State has never been easier with the advent of adult use legalization. Right now, millions of Californians can jump into their car and drive to a dispensary to pick out and buy legal marijuana products like concentrates, edibles, or good old-fashioned flower. They just walk outside, get in their car, navigate traffic, park, walk inside, wait to be seen, pick out and purchase their products, then drive home, fumble for their keys, and collapse on the couch, a little spent from the journey. Or they could just fire up ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, and pick out their purchase in just a few minutes before waiting less than an hour for delivery. It's just that easy. If you live in a part of California where Ease is active, you could be just minutes away from getting your order in. Find out for yourself over at ease.com, which again is spelled E-A-Z-E. Ease.com for all your California legal marijuana needs. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, May 25th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 498 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day starts us off in Utah, where Governor Gary Herbert said that he thinks Utah voters should be able to vote on legalizing medical marijuana in November, even as a prohibitionist group engages in a dirty and desperate last-minute fight to knock out a proposed medical marijuana ballot measure poised for approval. We've covered this one a bunch here on Marijuana Today Daily, and yesterday, Governor Herbert gave comments about the fight over medical marijuana during a press conference. The Republican governor is not a supporter of marijuana, medical or otherwise, but even so said, quote, "If you get the signatures on the petition, let's have the debate. Why are we afraid?" Unquote. Jumping a couple states over from Utah to California, we have a good story up by the San Francisco Chronicle about a proposed bill within the state legislature to create a special class of marijuana business license for nonprofit groups that process and donate free medical cannabis to low-income patients in need. This is another story we've talked about in the past, so it's good to see some momentum being made on changing the law, which currently treats nonprofit groups that give medical cannabis away no differently than any other licensed business, meaning they're responsible for paying a 15% excise tax on all cannabis that flows through their hands, even if it's donated to them by cultivators. That has shut down a number of the nonprofit groups as the provisions of Provision 64 went into effect in January. If passed, SB 829 would create a new class of license that would exempt holders from having to pay taxes on any donated marijuana they handle. Our final top story this fine Friday follows an interesting storyline out of California where a potential conflict is a-brewing between state regulators and the executives behind the popular website and dispensary listing site Weedmaps. California is not happy with Weedmaps after their request that unlicensed California dispensaries be taken down from Weedmaps' site were rebuffed by the company. Marijuana Business Daily picked up on this story as Weedmaps' top executives pursue a California state distribution license for an unrelated company controlled by them and set to co-locate within Weedmaps' offices. On Wednesday, that company DICA Distribution was given local approval by the West Sacramento City Council, a necessary step ahead of seeking final state licensing for distributing cannabis. DICA Distribution is owned and controlled by Weedmaps CEO Doug Francis and its general counsel Chris Beals, who had the same titles at the new California startup. Because that new company is a separate corporate entity from Weedmaps that just so happens to have the same top officers, it's not exactly clear what California regulators can do if they wanted to somehow punish it for Weedmaps infractions. For their part, the state said they will evaluate DICA's distribution's application the same as any other. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, is, of course, where you can go to place an order for legal California marijuana products for delivery, but it's also a fantastic place to go for valuable bits of industry insight and analysis developed by the editorial and analytical team over at Ease. Ease is sitting on a very large sales data pipe, which they properly aggregate and anonymize before setting their writing and number wizards free on it, who parse out information, knowledge, and wisdom to be shared up at ease.com. If you could benefit from having a better understanding of cannabis consumers, then you really need to check out all that's up for offer over at ease.com. Just open up ease.com and scroll down a touch past the ordering box and sales items to find their treasure trove of editorial and analytical gold. Big thanks to everyone over at Ease for all the support. All right, time for the Blitz. Herb has a story up about a man killed in Florida after his vaporizer exploded, setting fire to his room and hitting him with lethal shrapnel. 35-year-old Talmaj De'Elia died earlier this month after his vaporizer battery exploded. From the reporting, it sounds like Mr. De'Elia was using a modified nicotine vaporizer that had a souped-up battery unprotected by safety circuitry. Vape pens are obviously a huge part of our industry, so battery safety is a big issue that we need to keep top of mind. Personal privacy and online data collection are big topics of discussion nowadays, and the Fresno Bee has a good and timely story up about the data collecting practices of California marijuana dispensaries, which are not required to collect the personal information of their shoppers by state law, but which are more likely than not to do so. Even worse than that, though, a lot of dispensaries won't actually sell to you if you don't opt in to having your personal information collected and kept. A good story to open up and read in full. Leafly has an interesting look at the disruption seen within the U.S. glassblowing industry over the last few decades as the pace of legalization has quickened and the cannabis market matured. Between increased overseas competition and the ever-evolving tastes of cannabis consumers, it's becoming particularly challenging to survive today as a company selling marijuana glass products. Another good one to add to the list to read. Good news out of Illinois, as yesterday the State House Executive Committee voted 8-3 in favor of a proposed measure automatically qualifying someone for a medical marijuana recommendation if they happen to have a prescription for opioid-based painkillers. The Illinois State Senate has already voted in favor of the bill, so it now must wind its way through the State House before it can be considered by Governor Bruce Rauner. Yesterday, Canadian marijuana giant Canopy Growth Corporation debuted on the New York Stock Exchange, becoming the first company that actually sells marijuana to be listed. The company, which trades under the symbol CGC, closed down 6.7% from its opening at $28.20 a share. Soaring up to Alaska for a headline, we have Alaska Governor Bill Walker naming Sitka Police Chief Jeff Ankerfelt to the state's Marijuana Control Board, filling a seat that's been vacant since March following the quick month-long tenure of previous board member Travis Welch. Police Chief Ankerfelt will still need to go through a legislative approval process. We wrap up this week with some great news out of Pennsylvania as a group of the state's 25 medical marijuana dispensaries have agreed to help collect and share patient research data for an academic study on medical marijuana and pain being run by Dr. Sue Sisley out of the University of Michigan. Dr. Sisley is the lead researcher on the project, which will query patients directly using online surveys deployed on special iPads in participating dispensaries. Besides the Pennsylvania dispensaries, Dr. Sisley has also generated data from patients in Michigan and Nevada. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again on Tuesday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. What do you get when you cross Darth Vader's son with a hamburger? The Luke Skywalker. Thanks to our sponsor Ease and 12 of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. I like Star Wars jokes in particular. To join the illustrious ranks of the try that again. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.